Well, here we go. Take 52 to kick off season 1, episode 1 of the Weight of Anxiety YouTube channel. Yay! After all this overthinking, I finally got myself here. So, welcome. I'm happy you have found your way to the Weight of Anxiety YouTube channel. I'm Jen. And some of you have been following along on Facebook page or Instagram as I played around with different ways to express myself creatively instead of having a big, ginormous adult temper tantrum somewhere in public. I'm trying to write things down, but I'm always finding that the things that are in my head sound way funnier than by the time I get it onto paper. And then somehow it takes a dark turn and I'm into some spiritual journey with some morose kind of dark thoughts going down on paper. But it all started because it sounded kind of funny in my head. And I knew it was time to change the way I creatively express myself from just writing to actually showing up here on camera. So a brave move for me today, but I'm excited to kick off this journey. So why do I have a story ready to share for all of you? I've had an interesting ride over the last 20 years, raising two amazing kids who are now young adults, and I'm in my empty nester years. We have lots of stories to share about the quirks in our family. We are all neurodivergent, whether or not we're diagnosed. And the undercurrent in all of these 20 years has been the story of leaving a marriage and surviving a very toxic divorce, the process and the custody, and it's kept me in the court system for 15 years, really. And that undercurrent has been a vortex of hell, as I often say. I get caught up in a swirling vortex of hell that I just couldn't seem to get myself out of. And I always said, once I got spit out of that vortex of hell, that I wanted to speak up, and I wanted to be a beacon of hope for other people who are going through whatever their dark time may be. And we have found some creative ways to survive very difficult times. And that's why the weight, W8 of anxiety, is the greatest play on words that I can come up with. I've been using it for the last 4 or 5 years. And W8 kind of keeps me gangster a little bit, right? W8, right? We got to shake it up in this mundane world that we live in for the most part. And W8 has so many meanings, and I'm excited to share those with you as we go along. So in all of this, these many years with my kids and the marriage and the divorce, I've been using the mantra that there really is going to be a rainbow moment in every storm. The rainbow always shows up, but you really have to search for those moments. And you have to be very intentional in finding something colorful to pull yourself through the worst of the worst. And we know that rainbows show up at the end of any kind of big rainstorm, thunderstorm, but not all of us see them. You know, if you're sitting in your house It's easy to say, well, I never saw the rainbow, right? You're sitting in your doom and gloom, and you haven't stuck your head out to look up and beyond. And that's why Storms to Rainbows is much more than just making the best out of every situation. It goes far beyond that for me. Um, when you're in the midst of a storm, you have to be a rainbow hunter. You have to get up and get out. Sometimes you got to walk around the building to see the other side, and that's where the rainbow's going to be. Sometimes you have to take a drive. You have to go up the road a bit to be able to see that rainbow moment. So it's very intentional work. And that's what's going to be embedded in my stories as we go along in this channel. And we have learned some very creative ways to survive some very stormy days and months and years and years and years. And the last 3-4 years have been very intentional. I've been very intentional, I guess, about saying that I needed to do better, feel better, take back my life. Um, uh, and so I'm here to say that you can survive, but it takes a lot of hard work. And I want to cheer you on. If you're in those dark times, for whatever your reasons are, know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It might just get dark again, like within minutes, but we need light moments to give us the strength, the courage, the energy to carry on. And I want to be that. I want to be that beacon of hope because I've been there, I've done that, and I'm still doing it with some of the storms that I'm still facing. But I'm feeling pretty great after a really rough 20 years. So let's see. One more thing before I wrap up season 1, episode 1. I've gone by lots of different names, it feels like, over all of these years. Some would say they were aliases, perhaps. Maybe even the police have a few different names. Not all that I gave to myself. Some came from other people. But as we grow, we wear different hats. Of course, when we're a child, we wear the hat that is there when we're in our family, our birth family, perhaps, where we start off. For me, I was in rural Alberta, farm kid, and I wore that hat for a while. And eventually get on to the big city, going into university, and you wear a different hat, and then there's marriage and children and so forth. We can also call these masks. Masking is a big word that I am exploring more and more, and you'll hear that quite a bit in our stories here. And so for me, there's been a real evolution kind of my name. Of course, I was born with my my birth name, Jennifer. I go by Jen now, but that one changed from Jenny to Jennifer to JJ to all these different names. Even Jen with one N, and now it's Jen with two N's. My last name too. I mean, I had my birth last name, and then I got married, and I was very, very excited to take on the last name of my husband and have my children and give them that name as well. But I lost a piece of me in that. And we can talk about that one later, how women give up their names. maybe not everyone, we all make choices. But when my divorce came around, I really had to make a decision about whether or not to keep my married last name and how would that affect my children. How do I identify after leaving this relationship? And because it was so toxic and there were so many problems, I felt it hurt me so much to use that name, and it almost hurt me even more to know I had to give it up in order to survive for myself. But it was hard to give up because then how does that affect my children? So I went through many years of struggling with what name really suited me. And when I started this video here, I said my pen name is Jen MM, Jen with two N's. And I finally feel like I landed. It feels really super comfortable to me. Um, and it's all part of um, the masks that we wear too. And when can you be your most authentic self? I hope that I can share stories like this and other stories too to say it's okay. Take your time. Um, it could feel dark for way longer than you ever expected, but you get to choose when you want to bring in more light, when you want to hunt for more rainbows, um, and how to navigate dark times with as much grace as possible. So there I go, kind of down that deep, dark path, right? I'm going to get into some spiritual kind of stuff here. I'm trying to keep it light and funny. But we get a little bit of both with this chick right here. So welcome. Happy you're here. I'm happy to say that we're going to start off this journey together, and we can only get better if we start. If we don't start, we don't know where we're going to go. So here I am. I'm starting, and I'm happy you're here. Let's do this